Hey friends, it's Jay Rye. Thanks for coming back to the channel today. We have a special guest and we're talking about moving to Costa Rica. Sarah, how are you?
I'm doing very good today.
Great. I'm so glad that you decided to do this. I have a friend who told me first about your Facebook a while ago. And because this friend knew that I was going to be moving with my family to Costa Rica in the near future, she said, "Oh, I found this group on Facebook, which is yours." And then I joined, and I've read some posts in there, and then I found your website. What came first? We'll get to like you moving to Costa Rica and how all of that went, but like what came first as far as you like wanting to help people?
Well, and I tell people the business kind of started by accident. So, years ago, I just started a YouTube channel just for fun. I honestly didn't think anyone would ever watch it. I wasn't expecting anything from it. I just said, oh, this will just be cool. I'm just going to document our lives down here
Yeah.
and just put it out there. And then, I started getting comments and, people showing more interest, asking questions about Costa Rica. And I just enjoyed explaining things about Costa Rica, like, this is what a soda is. This is where you can find really amazing food, or, oh, this is how you buy a car. I'm doing this right now. So I just started kind of explaining how things work down here. And I noticed it was really helpful. So I kept putting that out there and putting that out there. And then it did come to a point where I was getting a lot of emails, a lot of questions. And I got to a point where I was like, I might be onto something here.
Yeah.
And I started with charging for just like a $75 1 hour phone call where someone could just spitball all the questions that they had at me for an hour. And through that, I gained a lot of information and insight on what the questions were. And it turns out a lot of them were pretty much the same. A lot of people had a lot of the same questions. And from that, it kind of, that's how it turned into developing an actual relocation, program.
Okay, so you got to Costa Rica, you decided you wanted to help people, you started with YouTube, and then now it's grown to it's YouTube, it's a website, it's Facebook, of course. What do you feel when you say that a lot of people are asking the same kind of questions? Like, what maybe the top two questions you would say that you get from people?
I guess a lot of people really need help narrowing down on what area is going to be a good fit for them.
Okay.
Because it's an entire country. So maybe someone's trying to figure out what town do they want to live in an entire country. I know it's not the biggest country. It's essentially the size of West Virginia,
but everything is very spread out. So it is. I know exactly what you're saying. It's like you could spend the day in the capital and like that it feels like a city, and then you could spend 4 hours and drive to Manuel Antonio, and you feel like you're in another world. It is hard to narrow down.
Yeah, so I would say areas, and another big one. People ask a lot about the medical care. I think that's a normal concern. Hey, I'm going to be moving to this country. If something serious happens, like, what is the medical care like there?
Right.
It's a pretty big question that I would get as well.
And what's your answer to that from your experience? To set the table, this is 2022 when we're filming this. You've been there since around 2015, is that right?
Yes.
So what has your experience been with healthcare there?
My experience has been really good with the healthcare here. I guess how we, in our program, we do explain the difference between the public healthcare system, which is known as the CAHA, and the private healthcare system. So I'll let people know that to go to a private doctor here, you don't need insurance for that. Like if you have an ear infection, I think I even have a video where I talk about medical care. Cause I was like, well, my ears, and I got an ear infection. Might as well talk about what happens when this happens.
Yeah.
To go to a private doctor here, it's like $60 out of pocket. So
right.
You don't need insurance for those types of things, or to even go to get a dental cleaning, $60 out of pocket at a private place. And I find the standards to be, North American standard, what I would expect in North American.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I would say a lot less wait times and a lot more personable. So I found the medical care here, I've had my doctors or dentist WhatsApp numbers.
Yes.
I've just made appointments directly with them. Or one time my daughter had a fever and I texted the doctor to say, hey, should I bring her in?
Yes.
And so I found it to be so much more personable. You can actually form a relationship with your doctor. One of the ones that we had in Uvita, you'd see him out surfing. He liked to play in a band, and that was so cool, and it was like, so it's like in a lot of these towns, you still have that small town feel,
right,
where I feel like it's a lot more personalized. And also I was pregnant, I got pregnant a year after moving here and I gave birth. I went through the CAHA, the public healthcare system,
okay,
for my prenatal appointments. and then I went to a private hospital for the delivery, and it overall was so inexpensive compared without insurance. I think it was like $2,500, and I had to have a C-section and everything. Like,
Okay.
private. And the hospital was fantastic. It was Clinica Biblica.
Which hospital did you go to?
I went to Clinica Biblica.
Okay. Is that in the capital?
Yeah, so it's in San Jose. And
Okay.
I think they have another branch, maybe more towards Escazú, but it's in SEMA's a great one too. But
Okay, so we delivered at SEMA, and
Okay,
so we came down at 6 months pregnant from the States, and then Coco gave birth at SEMA. And to your point, we had already like started building the relationship with our doctor in Costa Rica, you know, with the idea that we were coming down. And same thing, like you said, we were on WhatsApp with him from America. Then we get there and we could, you know, he was responsive all day and night, not don't bother me. And of course we weren't bothering him, but just like general things. We weren't being pests. But it does have such a different feel. And like, what a welcome shift compared to American medicine, in my opinion.
Yeah, so much more personable. So I think that, yes, you can get great level of care here. Or we do have a lot of clients that are retiring, but we also have families, people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, maybe who aren't quite towards retirement. But, you know, you can get additional, I do usually recommend, like a lot of our retired clients do get additional insurance that will cover them in a private hospital if something serious comes up. And but I think the public also, I've heard stories of, I think we have one client that broke his shoulder. He went and got treated at the Caja Hospital, and he said it was phenomenal, the one he went to. He said he was very well taken care of. He was really pleased with how they treated him. So
I feel like in America, the medicine is so politicized, and when people talk about, you know, countries with socialized medicine or medicine for all, it's always demonized somehow. But you know, you're just another person that's added to what our own experience has been and what I've heard from most people. Actually, I haven't heard one bad thing about the medical system there from people that are there. So I mean, maybe there's stories out there that I'm missing, but that this is exactly what I hear. It works. It's not nightmares of long lines and you can't get an operation when you need it. I've heard none of that. And you would agree that was your experience as well.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think in any kind of emergency situation, the public healthcare system can definitely take care of you. It would be good to have, like, if there was a non-emergency surgery that you needed, then I would want to consider going private, because then, maybe there could be a wait, or you'd have to see how long that wait could be.
Sure.
But it'd probably be affordable still to go private.
Yeah. So when you're referencing and you're saying like, I have a client that this happened with them or this happened with them. So tell me more about, again, your clients and how you're reaching out with people. One of the videos that I watched, I think it was, in fact, I remember it was like from 2019, so it was a while back. And at that point, you were talking about like doing some mom groups. And so, I mean, I'm sure things have evolved a lot in 3 years, but tell me, the whole spectrum of like how you're taking care of people with your services.
Okay, yeah, things definitely evolved big time. So when I first moved down here, I definitely never expected that I'd be doing this. I was sustaining myself working online. My friend was a virtual assistant, and I said, I'm going to do the same thing. Great. So I started picking up different clients and worked for different business owners or real estate agents. And I've always been pretty handy with the computer, but I think I learned a lot during those years and like how to run a business and what you need to do for it. So then the YouTube channel was just a hobby, it was just something that was going on. I was doing the phone calls. Throughout all those phone calls, I was able to understand a lot of the same questions that people had. So then during COVID, I thought that's when I came out with the relocation package. So, and it really has evolved over time as well. So, because I think it's been like a program that's actually been developed by our clients. So we help people who are moving to Costa Rica. So that was like the kind of the number one requirement. Are you moving to Costa Rica?
Sure. I saw that on the website. It says take the quiz. So it's got to be one of the first questions, right?
Yeah, that's to help them also, decide where they want to live. Because if someone doesn't know where they want to live, that's one of the first things we work with them. So the program has really evolved over a lot of time, but this is how it works as of now. We're in, end of March of 2022. I'm sure it's going to evolve more within the next year. But again, I'm always tweaking it or making it better, making changes that I think will be good. So what we do when we work with somebody is we have a kickoff call. And during the kickoff call, I create what I call their roadmap to Costa Rica. So we look at where they're at, when are they trying to move, and then what's going to happen each month leading up to their move. So we'll talk through all the major logistics of like areas, their rental. We do their first long-term rental search. So we'll find them their first long-term rental when they move. Residency, entry, car purchase, car rental, insurance, medical, packing, shipping, bringing pets, budgeting, banking. So we'll talk through all the major logistics and how they relate directly to them and what actions they're going to need to take on that. And then we have an online portal, and that's where we have webinars that like deep dive into the topics. So that way the kickoff call isn't 6 hours long, on their own time, they can actually deep dive into those topics. And then we have weekly group meetings, which are super fun. We had like the group meeting today, we had one earlier today, was super packed. It's usually open Q&A, but then I just kind of let the conversation flow. So it's our clients who are moving. And actually, we still have clients who have already moved who will pop into the meetings and offer their own advice and share their update of what they're up to and what they're learning. So that's been a really great space for everyone to get together and focus on the positivity, because sometimes in the online space, you see a lot of negativity. We talk about, positive things and happy things. But also realistic challenges or other things that you might go through for the move.
Whether it's your groups or it's just even the Facebook page, there are so many people like trying to help. It's not like it's not a political discourse. It's like there are a lot of people in there for the right reason, which is so great. And knock on wood, somebody who I met through your group is actually helping us with the house that we are buying. So, amazing. I mean, it's so great, that, literally, I just found out about you, not too long ago. So I'm really excited about our move, which is coming. And then I, learned your story. So again, now you're in 2022, this business, you're helping people, you've got all these groups going and things like that. Do you feel in this moment that it's pretty put together? Like, are you proud of like what you've accomplished so far?
Definitely. I think we have a good flow to things. I'm trying to, hire more and delegate a bit more. So my schedule's been pretty packed. We go through waves where we get a huge influx of people, and then it was a little quiet during Christmas, which is what I needed. But no, I think we have a good little system going, and we figure out. So I think for a person who's thinking about moving, it feels like this big whirlwind of, oh my gosh, what do we do and when? But I'm just like, oh no, you just do this here, put that there, and do this. Done.
Okay. Now see, that's hilarious too, right? Because we're looking today at 2022, but if we rewind Sarah's clock to 2015, you didn't do any of that before you went to Costa Rica, right?
Not a darn thing. I didn't know if I was legally able to work in the country. I didn't do any research. Like, I didn't do anything. I was the worst. Like, I was bad.
and look how it all turned out. But tell us a little bit about that. Just diving in at the very beginning.
Oh gosh. So I did have some friends who were down here, and they had a retreat center. So that's how I knew I wanted to move out of the United States. So I wasn't totally sure where, but I had friends, and they just come back and they were like, Costa Rica's amazing. It's so magical. You have to go. And I was already really like, oh, I want to get out of the United States. This was in January of 2014. And so not even really half a year after I graduated college, I was like, all right, I'm out of here.
Now, was this retreat center for ayahuasca or just like meditation or?
It was for ayahuasca.
Okay.
So they had a retreat center, and I was like, could I just move there and help you guys out or something? And they were like, yeah, sure, why not? And I was like, great, sounds good. So when I first thought about moving out of the country, I said, okay, I'll move in 12 to 18 months. But then I made it, that September 7th was the day I moved. So from January, I decided I would leave the country. September, I was out of there. But I think June was when I was like, oh, it's going to be Costa Rica. That's where I'm going. Okay. I didn't have a whole lot to prepare. I didn't have a whole house to downsize. I had an apartment. I put most of the things, I gave away a lot of things and put things, some things are still in my parents' basement. So I try to collect. It's okay, Azu.
Your parents are still in the States, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I just moved, and then I was at their retreat center. It was really disorganized. So 2 weeks later, I was like, okay, I'm out of here. So I just rolled my stuff down that mountain. It was like a 30-minute walk up the mountain.
Oh wow.
All my stuff, my 2 suitcases, and then the couch close to town. And so I started living in a hostel there, and then I was like, well, I'm gonna need some money. What do I do? So I started teaching English online to Chinese people. So I'd wake up at like 4:30 in the morning and get on my computer and but I think, I mean, I've said that it was like I met a lot of amazing people. So that's what really tied me to that community. And definitely there were times where I was like, what am I doing? I gotta get out of here. Like, what am I doing here? This is crazy.
Right.
But I'm glad I stuck with it. And then when I was pregnant, I almost considered moving back to the States, having the fear of like, oh my God, how am I going to raise a kid here? What am I going to do? But then again, it was just that sense of community. And I was like, I just want the power to create my life and my own path forward. And if I go back to the United States, I felt like I would just get stuck in what I didn't want to be in.
Excellent point. What would you say to people that might have that fear of, I don't know people there, I for whatever reasons, I want a new start. I don't want to be in America anymore, but I don't know anyone in Costa Rica. I'm going to be all alone. Or how did you overcome that?
Well, I mean, honestly, I think it's hard to come here and not make friends. So you said you were here, right? Like, did you realize how friendly everyone is?
Absolutely.
Like the Costa Ricans and the other expats who live here. Like, it is really hard to not make friends.
My time from first visit to falling in love with Costa Rica to moving is a little more elongated than yours. But yes, I am with you on that.
Like, it's so hard. Like, so we, in our group meeting today, some of our clients are down on their scouting trip right now, but they are moving.
Yes.
And they said that they have this woman who's coming to cook for them, but then they went over to her house and they met her daughter, and now they're all going over to their house for a cookout. And they're Tico, they're Costa Rican, and they said to them, like, when you are our friend, you are a friend for life.
Yes.
It is really, they're so genuine. Like, the Costa Ricans are so genuine, so kind, and they really can become true friends. But also there's a great expat community too,
Yes, that's true.
And I think I've been able to very easily connect with people down here.
Just a small I mean, I agree with you completely. I've met a lot of people there from tours or, hospitality or just, in many visits. Even when we went down and when Coco was pregnant and we had 3 months before we delivered, we were moving around the country a little bit, still working, on computer back to America. But in La Fortuna, one of our absolute favorite places is Amor Arenal. And when you said that people say no, you are with us for life, right? Like, literally, we still run into people from the hotel in La Fortuna by the church or in a cafe or something like that, and they're like, please come stop by, your family, and not even from a business perspective of saying, come give us money. No, it's just like, the country is wonderful in that regard. I've had that experience and completely agree with you as well.
Yeah, very genuine. So for someone maybe who's scared to think, I won't come and know anyone, I mean, well, just go out and start talking to people. But if you're shy, there are some nice expat groups, I have seen for women, there's like a single expat ladies group. There's some expat groups, and I've seen people say, hey, I'm going to be coming down alone, or, I'd like to meet up with somebody in the area, and other people have volunteered. Oh, I'll meet with you for coffee.
Mm-hmm.
So that would also be a start if you really do want to meet someone, or maybe start talking to somebody before you arrive.
Yeah.
That you might feel comfortable with. That's possible too.
Right. So when people find you, what do you think is a common mistake people might make in contemplating Costa Rica, or even when they do end up moving there?
I mean, I think the biggest mistakes that you can make I think the biggest mistakes that people say that they've made is whenever money's involved, to be honest. So I think a big mistake someone can make could be real estate dealing, maybe a car purchase.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, I think most mistakes can be can easily be I don't know, but don't you ever feel like when someone's talking about a big mistake they made, it usually has to involve money? So, I mean, I think
you're right. I mean, I was just curious to get a flavor of what the people you've run into have said. Because I think in one of your videos, you also said, one of your biggest mistakes of just diving in and going there was that you didn't research enough. Obviously, if they're getting in touch with you, See, I can't remember everything I've said on YouTube either. It's okay.
That reminds me. Okay,
But
that does remind me. So I think one mistake, I do get some people who email and say, can I find, what job opportunities are there? So I think, yeah, if someone hasn't done some very basic research to understand, like I didn't, to understand that no, you cannot legally work in the country unless you're a permanent resident.
right,
Maybe I think a mistake could be not thinking about the residency options for the future. Like, what if you really do come and fall in love with being in Costa Rica, and border runs, they're not guaranteed for, who knows? They don't always, border runs
Right.
don't have to be guaranteed, or that's, for someone who doesn't know what that is, that's if you were not to file a residency status, you would leave the country and come back in every 90 days and be a perpetual tourist.
right.
So that's something I didn't think about when I first moved.
And that got even weird for people who were okay with that. So there are people that aren't interested in like being on permanent record, and they do the border runs. But it got weird during COVID, because then some people didn't want to do the border runs and then have to agree with the country's, vaccination or visiting status, so that was kind of odd as well. Granted, I mean, for us personally, like we are, going the permanent residency route. As growing a family down there, I didn't want to be dealing with border runs personally. But some people, it could be okay, for them. But
so I would say, like, also, so knowing where your income's going to come from is an important thing. I understand, like, some people are retired, they have their pension. So I guess knowing your budget, like, what is your actual cost of living going to be? And I see those questions a lot online. What is the cost of living for Costa Rica? It's just such a huge, broad question.
Well,
so that's
right.
why we do a budgeting worksheet where we'll actually work through, and I let people know, usually, okay, your rent's going to be your most expensive. If you do get private health insurance, that'll be one of the more high dollar items, food. But, actually getting those quotes for those expenses, before. So then that either, well, is your pension going to cover the lifestyle that you want in Costa Rica, and depending on where you want to be, and knowing, or if you don't have a pension, like knowing where is your income coming from and making sure that you have a stable income set up before you arrive.
Right.
I didn't do that again. So like none of these things I did,
Right.
none of the things that I did, but would have been helpful if I had thought about it.
Right. But it didn't. But none of it went south. I mean, you didn't hit like a brick wall, or it's not a disaster. Obviously, you've done very well.
No, it was fine. But I was also, 23 years old, and then I did get pregnant a year after. But at the time, I was like, whatever. I'm happy under a rock. Now
Right.
it's different. Now I have a daughter. I've built a life. I'm more established.
Yeah.
So I think if there's someone who is a more at a more established age, then yeah, making sure that you know where your income's coming from, and you do have a good realistic of what the cost of living is in the area that you want to be.
Yeah.
Because you have to sustain yourself. The rest can be figured out.
So true. So true. It's interesting because even for me in the States, it's like it's been my career for years to be the person that buttons everything up to the T, and then in going to Costa Rica, I leave things unbuttoned. I mean, there is a plan, in the big picture of moving to another country. But even like people thought we were crazy to go to Costa Rica to have our baby. And I said, no, we know exactly what we're doing. Like, it's a great medical system. Like we had such a wonderful experience, and et cetera, et cetera. But you're like, in some ways, I actually kind of think it's cool that there are a lot of people that don't understand it or don't agree with it, because I'm like, well, that's fine. Then don't go. Don't go to Costa Rica. leave it for everybody else, right?
Exactly. But I do hear of a lot of people saying exactly what you said. My family thinks I'm crazy, or everyone around me thinks I'm crazy. So that's why I guess I like having the weekly meetings too, because then it's like, we can all talk to each other about, the people that don't think we're crazy.
Right. Absolutely. Sarah, I have so many more questions, but I think this was like a great starter. I really appreciate you making time. Let's show everybody too where they can get in touch with you. So we've got the website, we've got the Facebook, we've got the YouTube. Anything else you want to tell people? So
I got the website, lostsarelena.com. And on there, someone can just book a call with me if they'd like. It's just the purpose of that call is for me to understand them, get to know them. I'll take some notes and some logistics. If I think I can help, I will definitely let them know and what that process looks like. But if not, I do make sure to send helpful resources to get somebody started on their own path. So we have the relocation package. We have a scouting trip package. That's for somebody who's thinking about coming down. maybe they're not, they want to go check out different areas. So that kind of came out of demand from clients too. I didn't just think of it. Someone said, hey, do you help plan these trips? And I was like, well, no, but I could. So there's that. And then, yeah, there's YouTube channel, lots of free resources on there. The Facebook, the Moving to Costa Rica Facebook group. And then I did start a long-term rentals database recently. It's called longtermrentalscr.com. So we're uploading long-term rental listings that we vetted. We vetted the owners, the locations, the homes. And that's been good because that's been a need for people too that I've seen people struggle with, is finding a long-term rental.
Yeah, it is odd because if you're from America, you're used to the MLS, where every house in the entire country, is pretty much on record. Down there, it does not exist. You're dealing with websites, street signs, word of mouth. Yes.
Exactly.
I'm sure that's a helpful service as well.
So thank you for having me.
No, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. And I know there's going to be more that comes up. But in the meantime, best wishes with all your endeavors, taking care of people. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
All right, you too.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Well, there's just so much great information there from Sarah. You've got all the ways to contact her, and you can also contact me for questions about Costa Rica. We've had lots of visits, and we absolutely are moving our life to be in that country as well. It's JRI World right here on Instagram, on YouTube. Thank you so much for following the channel. Thank you so much for supporting our journey as a family. And remember, the channel is in many different places now. There's JRI World, there's JRI World Disney, there's JRI World Music, there's JRI World Costa Rica. Watch all the channels. Don't be left out. We'll see you next time. Bye.